Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre on a day when top sources in the Indian Army have said that Pakistani troops intruded into Indian territory in Jammu and Kashmir today and killed 2 Indian soldiers, badly mutilating the body of one of them. This has been one of the biggest ceasefire violations in the last 9 years. We'll be looking at that story closely and the fallout on ties with India. Also later in the show, the bizarre series of sexist comments being made nearly every day ever since the Delhi rape. Now another politician has said something today that can only be described as stupid. Is there a race for foot-in-the-mouth disease in this country? I'm Nidhi Razdan. Let's get straight to our top story. 2 Indian soldiers have been killed in a major ceasefire violation by the Pakistani army after Pakistani troops intruded into Indian territory. That's in the Mendhar sector along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. Top army sources have also said that the body of one of the Jawans who was killed was badly mutilated. A formal statement issued by the army just a short while ago says that in a significant escalation to the continuing series of ceasefire violations and infiltration attempts supported by the Pakistani army, a group of their regular soldiers intruded across the line of control. Pakistani army troops, having taken advantage of the thick fog and mist in the area, were moving towards their own posts when an alert patrol spotted and engaged the intruders. A firefight continued for approximately half an hour. 2 soldiers, Lance Naik Hemraj and Lance Naik Sudhakar Singh, laid down their lives. The army says this is yet another grave provocation which is being taken up sternly through official channels. Joining me on the phone line now is Major General S.L. Narasimhan, the Additional Director General of Public Information with the Indian Army. General Narasimhan, what more can you tell us about this incident?
Today morning, some of the regular soldiers of Pakistan Army intruded into the line of control in the Mendhar sector, and having taken advantage of the thick fog and mist in the forested area, they were actually moving towards our own post when one of our area domination patrol spotted them and engaged them. There was a firefight which ensued for about half an hour, in which we lost 2 men, Lance Naik Hemraj and Lance Naik Sudhakar Singh. And one of the bodies seems to have been mutilated in this entire firefight.
Right. You're saying that one of the bodies seems to have been mutilated in this. Are you seeing this as a retaliation by the Pakistanis? Because they accused the Indian Army of aggression a couple of days ago, even summoning the Indian Deputy High Commissioner yesterday. They accused the Indian Army of attacking a Pakistani post and killing a Pakistani soldier. How would you respond?
We had said today even the MEA spokesman has spoken about it. And that incident which you are talking about actually started with the Pakistani troops firing from across the border, and there was a calibrated response from our side. That is what we had said on that particular incident.
General Narasimhan, good evening. Barkha Dutt here. Just following up on Nidhi's question, as you well know, ceasefire violations have taken place earlier as well. There were 6 major violations last year, almost 70 minor ones. But what seems to set this one apart is the fact that this was not a ceasefire violation manifested through small arms fire or the exchange of mortar fire. This has actually been, according to you, a violation of the line of control with Pakistani troops infiltrating Indian territory. And what can you tell us about that? What sets apart this violation from previous violations which have mostly been skirmishes related to an exchange of fire?
Basic thing, it seems to be that the regular forces of the dress the troops were wearing was looking like the regular forces of Pakistan Army, and they had come inside our territory. And this is so far only the firing has been taking place. This, in the recent past, this seems to be the incident in which they have come in.
And can you share with us, as disturbing as it is, General Narasimhan, the fact that there has been mutilation? This violates the Geneva Convention. It breaks the rules of war even. What does the Indian Army plan to do next, sir?
Indian Army has got its own standard operating procedures, and the report will be sent subsequently of this incident to the Ministry of Defence, and from there the action will be taken. Otherwise, on the line of control, as per the standard operating procedure, things are happening.
Thanks very much, General Narasimhan. And Nidhi, as General Narasimhan mentioned we have to understand and explain to our viewers what makes this different from the 6 major ceasefire violations and the 70 minor ones that have taken place last year alone. Remember, this is a ceasefire that has been in place since 2003. Sometimes small arms fire, when there's a major incident, mortar fire, this is not a rare event. There have been casualties in the past, but why is this one different? Why is this one being called a grave provocation? For 2 reasons. This is not just a ceasefire violation, this is a violation of the line of control. In other words, here's the suggestion that regular Pakistani soldiers came inside Indian territory. And the second thing, of course, that sets it apart is the Indian Army asserting that there has been the mutilation, the torture of one of the soldiers, and coming on the heels of a country that is still anguished about what happened with Captain Saurabh Kalia, his father wanting to go to the United Nations, knocking on the doors of successive government, saying, do something about the condition in which my son's body was returned. This is something that is going to cast an inevitable shadow on whether any gains have been made from the peace process. I say this with responsibility because, like I said, it has not been unusual for ceasefire violations to have occurred in the past, but they have not made any sort of process collapse. But here you have India-Pakistan playing cricket one week and reports of an Indian soldier being mutilated the next. This is going to create enormous pressure on that diplomatic process. Nidhi.
All right, let me just go across to Zafar Iqbal, who broke this story for us earlier this evening. Zafar, what more are you hearing from the ground there? Any more updates?
Well, Nidhi, what our sources are telling is that there's a lot of tension in that area. It's a forested area. There's a lot of fog there, and perhaps they took advantage of the fog and the forest. In fact, they selected this target. What our sources are telling us, since the fence is many hundred meters inside the Indian territory, you are aware the fence was put in place at the height of Indo-Pak hostilities when there was a lot of firing going on, and that's precisely the reason the fence has been erected inside the Indian territory. The Indian forward posts are much ahead of the fence, right at the line of control. So our sources are telling us that selectively they had selected the target after a lot of perhaps a lot of calibration. They had selected this target, and just the time when these Jawans were moving from one post to another, the attack was launched, in which it was a surprise attack. We're told 2 Jawans were killed and 2 more were injured, who have been shifted to the command hospital. But as Nitin was saying earlier on, that Army commander has visited this area. He had a word with the brigade commander. They have been telling them to calm down and to follow the procedures in which the Indian Army will start talking to the Pakistani Army right at the location. But then it will take some time to restore the lines. Perhaps in the morning they'll try and establish a contact with the Pakistani Army and lodge a strong protest with them. Nidhi?